This is directed to the Nigerian presidency, more specifically to Pastor Yemi Osinbajo. I'd like to seriously implore you stop embarrassing your office, the vice presidency, and Nigerians at large, and the religiously inclined folk in particular. Your incessant government magic in the matter of the $25 billion NNPC scandal is beginning to get honestly quite frustrating and depressing. The latest release by your SSA, Laolu Akonde, in which you said that there were no contracts procured by the NNPC based on the leaked memo of Petroleum Minister of State Dr. Ibe Kachiku. In this, you said that such impressions had been maliciously created in the past weeks. Ibe Kachiku is the one who described these deals as contracts. This was not maliciously created by the press. This was not maliciously created by myself. This was not maliciously created by the audience. This was created by your Minister of State, appointed by you, Ibe Kachiku. So I'm reading Kachiku's letter under heading contracts, and it says legal and procedural requirements are that all contracts above 20 million would need to be reviewed and approved by the board of the NNPC. And then your Minister of State, Ibe Kachiku, goes on to say that the following major contracts were never reviewed by or discussed with me or the board of the NNPC. Crude term contracts worth over 10 billion, DSDP contracts valued over $5 billion, AKK pipeline contract value approximately $3 billion, and various financing allocation funding contracts with NOCs value over $3 billion, and various NDPC production service contracts value at $3 to $4 billion. Dear Pastor Osinbajo and President Buhari, if Minister of State, your Minister of State, Ibe Kachiku, does not know what a contract is, that should be very, very troubling to you, being that he is in the position as the head of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. I believe he should have been fired immediately if he doesn't know what a contract is. So that should be of concern to you, not trying to say we, the public, somehow maliciously invented the word contract. However, I actually agree with Ibe Kachiku, because any business transaction between private entities, and more especially the government, is a contract. It's as simple as that. There is a contractual obligation to be fulfilled by both parties. So these your mischievous, fake news, media releases, where you, as the government, is trying to do some kind of government magic in our eyes and say that things that are contractual obligations are not contractual obligations, that is really what is getting very, very worrying for us who are watching what's going on. Take, for instance, the Forex subsidy scandal that your administration ran. These were simply people being sold Forex by banks, and the cabal, the Dangotes, according to Reuters, was sold dollars to which he made a tune of a profit, if he was to buy it from the black market as we were buying it, of about $100 million within just the space of 3 or 4 months that they evaluated. And the former Central Bank of Nigeria governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, said of that your government was making billionaires every day by the Forex subsidy scam, similar to the fuel subsidy scam of the Jonathan era. And if you look at the fuel subsidy scam of the Jonathan era, a lot of these things were oil lifting deals. Jonathan could have defended them and said these are not contracts. So what is a contract? A contract is any binding agreement between two parties. Now, dear Pastor Osinbajo, I would like to ask you, because you have given some vague responses. Oh, I signed some JV deals. Could you be specific? Do you know the kind of money we are talking about? Ibe Kachiku has listed concerns up to the tune of $25 billion. Out of it, $2 billion is said to have been signed when Buhari was out of the country. So I'd like to ask you, without just vaguely saying, I signed some contractual, or the way you prefer to say it, I signed some papers of JV deals. How much specifically are you covering for this scam of the money that allegedly was signed off when Buhari was out of the country? Are you covering for it? Did you, Pastor Osinbajo, sign the 640 billion naira worth of deals, or did you not? Please be very, very specific, because we are tired of the cabal consuming the money of the masses of Nigeria, you see. Because, for instance, in these deals, some of the things you are saying, okay, is that, oh, this was not public funds. It's not about public funds. It's about deals or contracts. Because my company would love to be involved in a deal with the federal government to the tune of $6 billion. Because out of that, I'm going to make some profit. Even if I put my funds initially to supply something, I'm going to make a profit. Nobody gets into a venture without making a profit. Now, that profit is what funds the cabal when these things are done in secret, without BPE, public procurement processes, without oversight, without public oversight. It's these deals that feed the cabal, that pay the terrorists and political parties, that continue to keep Nigeria in perpetual slavery and bondage. It is out of these deals that largesses are fleeced off the top. And a lot of these deals, just as the stipulation states in Nigeria's constitution, a lot of these deals are not paid for in cash. So telling us that the payment, no public funds was used, is insulting our intelligence. If you read the defense by the NNPC, by Baru, he quoted Nigeria's constitution, and he said, according to section 6(1)(c) and 8(1)(2) of NNPC Act, it states that the corporation in fulfillment of its duties can enter into contracts or partnerships with any company. See, contracts and partnerships interchanged. And you will say, oh, these were JV partnerships. It's the same thing. Let's go ahead. It says contracts or partnerships with any company or firm or person which, in the opinion of the corporation, shall facilitate the discharge of their said duties. Subject to other provisions of this section, the corporation may from time to time borrow overdraft by overdraft or otherwise howsoever such sums as it may require in exercise of its functions under this act, and the corporation shall not without the approval of. Now, the point about this is, a lot of these money, since you're saying it's not public funds, it's because you think you're trying to brainwash illiterate masses. But there are intellectuals who are going to expose these things to the masses. A lot of the payments are made in oil lifting deals. You tell a person to come and lift 1 billion barrels of oil, so you're going to say it's not public funds. But this is how NNPC fleeces off the money of Nigeria. These are the same hustles Diezani was running that are still being run. It looks like they were never closed down. These things are sponsored, are funded by giving people billions, by giving Shell, giving companies billions of barrels of oil to lift. So you say, oh, public funds was not used. But payments are being made. Nothing is done for free. Are these charity works? This 3 billion you signed, is it a charity project, or somebody is going to use their money and somehow that person is going to make the money back? Now, according to the act of the NNPC that Baru quoted to defend himself, somehow, and I would like you to please come and tell us which is true, because I'm reading so many places where the same act states that such contracts shall not be undertaken without the approval of National Council of Ministers. That without that, the NNPC shall not borrow any sum, whether by amounts in aggregate or outstanding, or any loan or loans at any time that exceeds such amount, without being specified by the National Council of Ministers. Now, I see in The Nation, where The Nation, an editorial from The Nation, makes reference to, that same topic in 2015, and The Nation makes reference to that same topic and quotes that such contract, Westrel, it's under the topic Westrel, and The Nation says the same thing, that shall not be approved by the National Council of Ministers. I'm seeing where Andrew Yakubu, 2013, NNPC was being criticized, and NNPC justified itself by quoting that same section of Nigerian Constitution, section 6(8) NNPC Act, which states, and it said, NNPC shall not borrow any sum except specified by National Council of Ministers. And when we say National Council of Ministers, it includes the presidency, the ministers of cabinet, of course, Minister of State Ibe Kachuku must be there, and other ministers, before such sums can be approved. Now, suddenly I'm seeing both you and Baru, and it has been used in the past, where this same section of the Constitution is quoted and it says approved by the president. I'd like you to clarify, what does Nigerian Constitution say? Does it say it must be approved by the Council of Ministers, or does it say it must be approved by the president? Because here again, I'm seeing another government magic. You did not have authority to sign that approval. At the later date, you said you signed the approval when Buhari was in his sick bed. However, you do not have the approval to sign it by yourself. The National Council of Ministers has to sign such approval. We're talking of billions of dollars. The president alone cannot just sign approval. Hey, I'm authorizing you billion. How much is Nigeria's budget? NNPC is spending without oversight figures as huge as Nigeria's budget. It's not just between NNPC and you to just sign that, yes, spend that money, release those barrels of fuel as you please. So please clarify. Do you have authority to sign this? Does Buhari have authority single-handedly to sign this? If so, why does Nigeria's constitution say National Council of Ministers? Please stop rubbishing us. These are serious matters. We are not taking this thing funny at all anymore.